Happy next year, everyone. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome to the very first Cat's Corner one-on-one live of 2021. I hope that transition into the next year, notice I'm saying happy next year, not happy new, because I don't know just yet. I don't trust it. We're going to see. I am super excited to welcome you into this new year. I'm hoping that it's better than the last one in all sorts of ways, but mostly I'm just thankful that we made it because a lot of us didn't. So I wanted to first welcome you to 2021. I wanted to thank you all so much. This show was an idea that came from conversations I was having with all of my amazing friends, and it has now turned into something that I absolutely am passionate about and that I absolutely love. So I'm thankful for that. 2020 definitely brought some things in there that I really think are important. And I wanted to acknowledge that you did a good job on that 2020. On other things, it's not so much. So we are in a new month. We are in a new year. And so I'd like to start things off with a nice little reset. So this month of January, we're going to be focusing on wellness and culture. And our very first guest is someone that I have worked with over time. She's 20 years plus in the game, although she does not look it. And she is this amazing amalgamation of fitness, health, abundance. She brings you, she forces you to come into a space and deal with your issues. And she does it in a gentle and compassionate manner. She has been my trainer. I have used her boot camp services. She is someone that we should all be, utilizing, particularly in this, crazy pandemic space. And I'm just excited to call her one of my other sisters from another mister. Please welcome Ewunike Akpan to the stage. Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So as we get into this fun conversation, I always start the show off with the same question. How are you doing today?
Today, I'm excited. I'm good. And I am excited for the beginning of a lot of things. This is January. It's the beginning of the year. This is my birth month.
Woohoo!
So this is
When's your birthday?
It's Friday. This coming Friday.
Okay. Fun time.
Yes. This is a big one. You know how people put say certain numbers are bigger than others. Well, right. I'm going to claim 50 as a big one.
Yes. You know what? First of all, let's take a pause and celebrate that 5-0, because that 5 decades is an impressive stunt, my dear.
It is to have lived, half century. I sent a picture of myself to my mother, who I totally honor on my birthday, because she's the one who did the birthing, right?
The birthing.
The work.
Right.
And I was like, look, your girl's about to be 50.
Listen. And let me tell you, that's
I'm excited for sure right now. Because I'm just in this spirit of just giving and helping and, on a even greater level and challenging myself, in different ways. 2020 definitely pushed us all, right? Yeah. So that's how I'm feeling right now. And that makes, at the same time, I'm excited. I'm tired because I haven't had a lot of rest, a lot of sleep.
Right.
And that catches up with you. Mm-hmm. And I know that too. So I know I'm going to have to, get some rest and recharge, but I'm feeling more excited than anything. So running on adrenaline for sure.
I love it. So let's talk, because I don't know. I feel like I need to do a tagline disclaimer, because I'm like the auntie that gets in your business. And one of the things that I'm excited about, I think 50 is an amazing age. And I think that this version of, I was on Clubhouse and we did a conversation around, and it was called Not Your Parents' Middle Age. And you are the second person. Shout out to Candace Mickens, who's also shared and been a guest. She's in the feed. Good morning, Candace, who also shared that she turned 50, I think last year. Like, it was her birthday last year. And I'm looking at both of y'all and I'm like, man, listen.
Right.
This is what 50 looks like. I'm so here for it. And so I kind of wanted us to take a minute to reflect on that, because you said it. It's half a century.
Yeah.
And, a century ago, 50 would have been like you knocking on death's door. Like, you might as well just call it a day.
Or you were straight out like an anomaly.
Right.
Right. 50 in certain generations, especially as an African American, it was not even expected at all, right? That you would live in this and then still have so much more life to look forward to. Mm-hmm. Whereas, we can claim these days that 50 is is the new 30, right?
And like legitimately be, and still the knees still work. And so that's a sign that things are doing well. So I just wanted to honor that because I think there's something really powerful about claiming your age. And I think there's something really powerful about sitting in all of that wisdom. But like, I'm still blown. Like Candace said it and I was like, I believe you, but, and I mean, you're saying it and I believe you, but it's still, age is shifting in such amazing ways. And part of, I think, your longevity is due to your lifelong practice to fitness.
Absolutely. Risikat, I give all of my energy and my, where I am right now, the way I feel, the way I look, the way I am mentally, preparing for, the next 30 some years of my life or
right.
more,
Right.
due to my physical activity, due to my regular movement and just how that has created the way I show up and I feel in my body every single day.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That activity. And people, when they say that to me, and I'm blessed to have made it this far for sure.
Right.
And I honor that. And I'm thankful because any a number of things, not just I'm physically active, and that doesn't mean anything if an accident happens or you can get struck with anything. So, and that has happened to so many of my friends and family members out of the blue, right? No history of anything, and they're just all of a sudden. So, that for sure can happen, and you can never take your health for granted. And activity is not the cure-all for everything, but it definitely has, been the reason why I feel like I am moving and feeling and active today, because I was yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. Yeah, absolutely. It makes a big difference. And I mentioned my mom. My mother is 78, and my mother is active. I am active today, and I'm in fitness. I attribute that to the example that I saw in my mom when I was growing up. I was super lucky to be raised by my mom, who was an aerobics dance instructor when I was growing up. She was a runner. She was the first person I ever knew. When I learned the word marathon when I was 10 years old, it's because my mother was in a marathon.
Right.
And so I had that example. And she's still moving today, though. And a lot of her friends around the same age, obviously, are not able to move because they weren't moving with her. They didn't join her for, the activity that she encouraged them to do. And again, there's lots of things that can afflict us that we have absolutely no control of whatsoever.
Right.
But we do have the opportunity to be active. Then I think we owe it to our family. I'm glad my mother was moving when she was, because she's still moving today, and she and I could go out for a walk together.
So you beat me to the question, so I'm glad you segued into that, because I remember asking you, because I hate working out. I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely hate it.
Most people do. I know.
I'm gonna claim that. I do it because I know that it's good for my body, but I absolutely detest the fact that I have to do it because it's like, But I remember we were having a session together, and I asked you, because I do think that what you hit on, particularly this idea of fitness, the love of it or the normalcy of it, does, if it's exposed to you at a certain age. Like I remember, so Ewunike is the reason why I actually enjoy running now, because she set up a boot camp where we were taught how to run.
Right.
And I had never been taught how to run. I had read up on it at some point because I was like, I've always wanted to be a runner. And so, but it was terrible. It was just uncomfortable. I never did it right. Or what? Well, take a step back. I didn't know that you could do it wrong. And so when she held this boot camp, I had never.
And I hired a professional. It wasn't
right. It wasn't you. And I kind of, I'm a low key. If you could create something where we could, because I really enjoyed. I hated getting up early in the morning, but we got up and we ran, and we had a running coach who taught us how to run. And it changed my life because it never occurred to me that I could run for long distances and actually be comfortable in that activity. And the thing about running is when you stop doing it, it's hard to bounce back into it. So one of my goals is to get back into it, like, and stay in that space. But that was a really beautiful gift. And I remember with the way that you trained us in the different the group sessions that we would do. I remember my niece needed a running partner for her 5K, and I was able to be part of her 5K because her parents were like, "Nah, I ain't doing it." I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna run with you."
How about that?
I ran with her, and that transference was a beautiful moment. Everybody knows how I feel about my pumpkins, but I think it's important what you say about creating that normalcy when you're children, because that helps it become something that, maybe, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have hated it as much now if I'd been exposed to. My dad was a runner, but he never took us out.
Okay, right.
He never shared it with us.
It makes a huge difference when, anything that we show our children. Mm-hmm. And thankfully now I am able to model that for my own child. Mm-hmm. But anytime, we raise our children, they are a representation, they are a reflection of us, of what we do. And so absolutely, that influence that we can have on them, that example that we can set. I'm a living example of it myself. Right. We can help to make it normal to go outside for a lot. I used to work with a before school physical activity program that the Reebok Foundation sponsored in inner cities. I was responsible for helping elementary and middle schools here in the Washington, D.C. area to implement this program and to train parents and teachers or just advocates within the schools how to implement some just simple games. These games, Risikat, were based on running. Not any particular sport, because we didn't want to eliminate anyone from participating. So whoever could get to school for the 30 to 45 minutes in the morning before the breakfast to do this activity, they could participate. Because it was like when you would go to recess and do relay games and, just like fun stuff, and set up obstacle courses and hopscotch. And it was amazing, the responses that I would hear from the kids. They're like, "Oh, well, no, I don't go outside," or "I don't like to sweat." Or, these are like third graders. "What do you know about sweat? What do you mean you don't like to sweat?" Where are you getting this from? There are lots of things. And this was in the inner cities. So safety is a huge concern for parents allowing their children to go outside, So we have so many barriers in our community outside of just what our parents, maybe they're trying to keep us safe a lot of times, keeping the kids, keeping them in the home. So it's so important to find ways that we show that it is our right to be within our natural environment, and that we experience that we enjoy that, and that we, more than anything after this pandemic, get out and get some fresh air. Right. So it's just really important that we are an examples. You were able to show up for your niece to run, and she'll never forget that experience. It was dope. She ran that 5K with her aunt. Right. She's never going to forget that.
I didn't forget it, because I was like, "Oh, I made it, child." It was a great, it was fantastic. So we do have a question from Miriam that I wanted to use the segue, because I do think that that issue of safety is a big issue. And I guess I never thought about it in that way, because I grew up, I was in the 80s baby, grew up in the 80s in a suburb of South Miami where we were always outside. Like if you wanted to hurt our feelings, tell us we couldn't go outside, and we'd be like, "Oh my God, why?" It was the worst thing in the world. And we were always running the streets, probably not in the best. It was a neighborhood, so we didn't think much about it. My mother would send me to the store. I would actually have to walk with my brothers to the store to get things, and that was maybe a good 20-minute walk.
I remember those days too. And again, I'm 50, so
yeah. And I'm 2 years behind you, so at 48, we got.
I remember those days.
So the question that Miriam has, because I think this is a good place to segue, particularly with some of the things that you're working on. How do you suggest people get started post physical difficulty. I have sciatica from childbirth and PCOS, so it generally hurts, but I know I need it. I don't know how to run either. So when you have folks who are not necessarily intentionally active, because I think a lot of us are busy, so we're going here, we're going there, and I remember, so real talk, the first time I came to you to work out and you measured me, I was mortified. I was like, I don't understand how my body is this big, because I'm always on the go. And so that's another thing I'd love for you to address, because we are constantly in motion. I feel like I should be burning calories with all the running around I'm doing just to get to my life, but apparently it doesn't work that way. So if you could.
Yeah, your body is used to that normal part of activity is way better than just sitting on a couch all day, for sure. But to answer Miriam's question first, how do you get back into exercise, especially post-injury? As she says, sciatica is can be very, very just crippling, if you will. Sometimes just the pain, it comes and it goes, and sometimes it's really tough to deal with. And my recommendation for anyone who has any injury is I'm going to ask them first, when I do like an intake, if you will, when I'm dealing with my brand new clients and I learn about the injuries or what's been going on with their exercise history, is whether or not they've had physical therapy. And there are so many things that personal trainers use these days that come from the physical therapy environment, such as your stability balls, which help to build core strength, such as foam rollers of all different shapes and sizes to help with the release of adhesions in the muscle tissue. So a lot of things that I use that I've taken, certain classes and certifications for actually come from the therapy world, where someone is more specifically trained to help people with conditions that I cannot address just due to I don't have that in-depth medical training. And so I would, first ask whether or not they've been to physical therapists. And what happens a lot of time is if they've had an injury and they have been to physical therapy, I want to know, well, what were the exercises that they basically said were your homework that you need to be doing? Because those are the things that I need to give you a printout, or they showed them to you. Let's do those exercises. We need to continue to do them. And a lot of times those are the stretches. Those are the, activities that you will need to continue to do for a long time. And if you don't do them, then you'll start to have a chronic tightness or pain or whatever. So think back, has the issue that you've had for your injury been addressed by a physical therapist or by a doctor? What did they prescribe that you need to do to help with the healing of that injury? Are you doing it? Is my question. Are you still doing it, practicing it? Because no one's holding you accountable anymore if you're not going to therapy, if you don't have an upcoming appointment where you try to do a whole bunch of wall slides the day before you go to your session, so it's so important, though, if you have had something that's chronically been going on. And I'm talking to myself, too. I have an issue, with my neck. And when I do use the foam roll and when I do the stretches that I need, or when I just rest, too, then I feel a lot better. So I would say, that would be my first question, not being able to speak directly to Miriam. And then.
So in her case, she said she wasn't injured, she was pregnant. So she was never told. Yeah. So this is a sciatica born from. Postpartum. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So she was told to stretch.
Yeah. So sciatica, again, I've worked with lots and lots of clients, and doing self-myofascial or self-massage using a foam roll is super helpful. Okay. You need to continue to stretch, and doing mobility exercises that strengthen the core, that strengthen the hip girdle, that's, work the legs, or things that you can do that will not counteract and aggravate the issue with sciatica. So she really needs to be working with a personal trainer. She needs to be working with someone who has experience in dealing with that issue, or do some research, since it's tough for us to work with people one-on-one or in person. Not tough, it shouldn't be happening, really. Then, finding some resources online specifically for sciatica. There's so many YouTube videos, and I would recommend, if I can just throw out a recommendation, that she Google the MELT, MELT method, which is there's so many videos on YouTube that you can download, but there's also a wonderful subscription that they offer on that website that addresses sciatica.
Okay, I just posted it.
And so you can do that at home. MELT method.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Okay. So when we think about pandemic time, a lot of people who might have had routines, suddenly it stopped because you couldn't go to the gym and all of that. And I do think for some folks, the gym, the environment of the gym is a way to really activate their fitness process.
It is, absolutely.
How can you give us a sense of, for you? I mean, you were a trainer, so you had clients and things had to shift. What was that shift like for you? And, what are some of the things you've been able to do? Because I know you've been doing virtuals, using IG Live and things of that nature. What were some of the things you maybe had to do as, just not even as a trainer, but as someone who is always active, to make your home environment work for your fitness program?
Yeah, I had not done one virtual class pre-COVID.
Right.
And I know so many trainers who do Facebook, who are doing Facebook classes and had Facebook groups and were training on Facebook. And like, that scared me. I was like, nah, I'm so comfortable being, with my people and being able to adjust and touch and just like, that's where I come alive, is when, and that's also where I feel like I'm most creative. When I can, like, basically, to use the term that's overused, is read the room, like who's here, who showed up today, know? And I know their injuries. I know what they're working with. I know if I saw so that was what like fed for, me and my energy for my classes and my training a lot of times when I was doing my group classes. So I made the switch like that because I remember specifically sitting on the couch watching the news when this was really just starting to hit. And I was like, I really feel like this is about to just shut everything down. And I'm not trying to get sick. I was like, nah, you know what? I first moved all of my personal training clients online to Zoom. I had a Zoom account already. So I just thought, I felt more comfortable with the one-on-one. They would be able to see me. I would be able to see them. And it was weird, of course, at first. But I started moving and doing every single rep with my clients. And that made me feel more engaged. I think that made them feel more engaged. There's no way that I can do a personal training session virtually and just kind of stand there like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and count and point. No, like that doesn't work.
So that's what Roland does with me, which is why I'm laughing.
Wait till I know Roland. In fact, you know Roland because I know Roland first. So wait till I know
because he's going to be on. He's part of this month as well. So I'm like, you're supposed to be doing.
You know, when people gain some weight,
right?
I've lost weight.
Wow.
Only because I literally was moving because I was like, I got to like have these people like feel me and stay motivated. And it takes a lot to zoom in when you're already having to do it for work, for a workout session, especially when you don't want to work out, it may be easier to get out of your house and, drive to the facility, or you're going to go do this errand, or you're just getting out and doing something different. That may be a little bit, but you're still in the house. And you got to turn on another Zoom link.
Right.
And you got to sweat too when you do it, So I knew it was tough, and it was easier than I thought, though, to make the transition. I was so afraid of this virtual world beforehand. Yeah. That was part of my push out of my comfort zone. It just as a business person, as an individual. And I think it's been really good, and because people really need to move right now. Yeah. They really, 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 really do. And if this is the only way we can do it, other than getting outside, if you're working out or walking or running with someone in your household, which is safe, then yeah, you need that. And so I just try to show up prepared and ready to go through every single rep for my group classes and my personal training clients. And
wait a minute. So theoretically, how many clients do you have per day?
Girl, so all right. I'm like changing my lifestyle to be a little bit less crazy and more manageable. Right. I did that as of 1/1/2021.
Right.
There were days that I would be training like 7 clients a day.
So you were having 7 workouts. You were physically doing 7 workouts a day.
I mean, just ridiculous.
Wow.
I mean, don't like, no rest, no rest.
Right.
So, and that's not good.
Right.
And so, after 10, 11 months, I was just like, this is not going to work. Not going to work. But, so I've learned a lot about myself even during this process too, for sure. Part of my wanting to give and just be available, and yes, you need to work out. I'm not going to let you down.
Right.
You want to move. Right. I'm all right. I know it's tough for all of us. So I was fitting everybody in is doing what the most.
So when we think about making that transition, New Year always brings people with the resolutions. I want to lose weight. I want to get fit. I think people were so exhausted from 2020 that they were like, let me just get over this hump and we'll see what happens. And so I know that you have a 30-day, I'm calling it like a reboot or a reset. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe how people can be part of that coming up? Because I think it starts tomorrow.
Yes, it does start tomorrow. And it's the 30-day Get Active Lifestyle Transformation. And this is a program which really is a culmination of my 20 plus years in the fitness game, working with people who the average person who hires and consults with me or shares with me, if they find out that I'm my trainer, that, what their concerns are with their health overall is that they're not really active or not to the degree that maybe they once were.
Right.
And that is a lot of times due to just lifestyle change, families, growing, or jobs or travel, responsibilities in life take over. And so they start to see a change in their physical. They start to see a change just in also their mental, the way they feel in general, in their bodies, in the clothes that they can and can't fit in anymore. So that's what I hear, that people are just basically, in a nutshell, saying that I'm not as active as I used to be. And so this program is really to address that. It's to help people to get active. And I've thought really long during this pandemic about how to help people to do that, because we're all inside now. We're doing the live classes, so they have access to my core bootcamp classes, which are 3 times a week. I'm offering personal training as a part of this program with the people who participate. I've taken it to another level and actually recorded videos of myself teaching my classes. So I'm now offering videos on demand. So again, I'm offering something because not everybody can make it to that live class.
Right.
You will be able to download the workouts, and I've done different lengths of workouts, so we all have different time. We need to fit something in. And then I've worked with someone who you may know really well, Monica McConlin, who is a yoga instructor in the DC area. You know Monica. So she has partnered with me. She's a wonderful yoga teacher, And she's recorded some videos, which are part of this program. So there's that balance that you have, not just the body weight, more the plyometric, the jumping or high intensity training, but also the stretching and the opening and lengthening is a part of this program. And then there's community. The thing that has been the undercurrent for why I've been doing what I do and been in fitness for so long is because of the people in the community that I'm able to bring together when I would do my group classes, when I do my boot camp classes. And you were a part of that.
Yeah,
you were part of that community. Yeah. You know, you know what that vibe is like, whether we're outside in the park where so many of our classes were, or if we were inside in one of the studios. People, I mean, I don't have a fancy setup, right? No. Like my spots are not with the latest technology, and, you know, you're not wearing the latest gear, you know, or either you're showing up for your own self, for your fitness, but also there's a lot of accountability that goes with that group, and they're looking for you, and they're asking how things are going with you. And, you know, we're talking and staying and lingering after class to catch up with one another. And so that community I'm bringing to this program as well, because thankfully that I've been able to continue to foster that even through this pandemic, even through these virtual classes. I've just been super, super blessed that people wanted to continue to support Lotus Fitness and me, and we zoom in so they get a chance to see each other, right? And you know, I opened it up a little early so folks can say hi to one another, and you know, we make big announcements and stuff like that. So, and then my daughter may make a cameo. You never know. So. Yeah, so that's super important to that community, because everyone is missing that connection.
Right, they are. They are.
Fitness is. We have always, like your niece needed. I mean, that experience that you guys had together. When we get together in groups, there's something about that group dynamic that helps you to just, you know, zone out a little bit from maybe the exercises if you just don't like them, you know, or it's the music, or it's the vibe, or it's the instructor, or it's, you know, the competition. It's all of that comes with the group environment.
I wanted to talk a little bit about age and how age affects how we decide, you know, how we go about in terms of our fitness goals and all of this. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I was interested to see what you thought about how I feel like as a society, the way that we are looking at bodies and the way that what we're expecting bodies to do have become a little unrealistic. I don't want to be shaped like a lot. And I wonder
more so now with social media.
Right. And so I forgot what they call that particular body style that's like ridiculously small waist and crazy hips and all of this other stuff. And, you know, I see videos where women are wearing these waist trainers and they're doing all this stuff. And I'm like, yo, that's a lot of work. I can't do all that. And so I wonder if you have noticed how social media affects the expectations your clients have of what their bodies should look like or can do, and how you balance that out with, you know, this is what you naturally are shaped like. Let's kind of move in that direction.
Yeah. In addition to people coming to me talking about this getting active, what people really want is to look different, right?
Yeah.
They want to usually lose weight. There's obviously always a person who has a hard time gaining muscle or gaining weight, but the average person is looking to make themselves smaller. And so I accept that, because they are out here in society the same way I am, being conditioned and saying certain things, and then starting to judge themselves based on standards that that should not be applied to them. Honestly, it's completely unfair to themselves, but we all do it. So, and that's always been the case. That's throughout fitness, throughout my whole, you know, career. So, and I work a lot with women. I'm just being very plain. I work a majority of my clientele that I work with over the years have been women. And so, yeah, we especially are being told by society what we need to be,
Right.
Trying to achieve in terms of our physical selves. And usually it's making this tiny waist and this, now with this hourglass. I don't know if there's a special name for it now.
There is a name. I forgot what they called it, but I was like, whoa.
Really? I don't even know. Okay. I don't even know.
I think it was
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had clients who be like, I want to lose it here, but I don't want to lose it here.
Right.
And it's just like, anybody who knows me, very plain. And I don't want to work with someone who's going to have unrealistic expectations for the way we're going to work together, the training that you're going to do, and then the potential results that you're going to achieve or not achieve.
Right.
Honestly. So I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, sure, I can help you to reduce that belly because everybody wants a flat stomach, right? But keep a big booty. Like, no. I'm just being very real. Like, I'm not your trainer.
Right.
Because we're going to work everything. And really, it's going to be up to your genetics, how you're eating, a lot of other different factors as to how your body then changes. But you know what, Risikat, right now, I'm just like, shut the door on all of that, how we look.
Right.
Because after 2020, in this year that we've had where every single day we can turn on the radio, turn on the TV, and what are we seeing?
Right.
Statistics of the number of cases of coronavirus and the number of deaths here in the United States and in the world. They didn't break it down by race.
Right.
The CDC knows those numbers, knows how many Hispanic deaths or white or Asian or, Black. But in our community, it's been off the charts.
Yes.
Off the charts. Because we have just such a high disparity in our health outcomes as a community anyway, right? Like we started off at such a disadvantage. And then to have this pandemic, disadvantage to having access to being physically active because our neighborhoods, whether it be, we don't have the green spaces or it's not safe for our children to be outside because of, the communities that we live in, whether it's due to traffic or violence or whatever the case may be. We're uncomfortable with, just going out and, walking around the block or letting our kids just go and be out of our sight and play the way we did as kids. Right. So much emphasis has been placed on health this past year, and we were starting out in all of our preconditions of poor health that have dramatically increased our contraction of COVID and then the death rates in our community. That it's like, come on, people. All right, like that should be a real wake up call to everyone.
Right.
To everyone about what's really important. Because I'm sure there were some really fine figures, whatever they're called, that, got COVID. And folks are like, how? I can't believe it. Like, because that was an equalizer to a large degree too. So I want to get back to helping people to take their health in their own hands and do what they can. Right. And if that's masking up and getting out and going for a walk, if that's zooming in and doing, a yoga class or a stretch class or a seated class or a boot camp class and really, really getting it in with me, whatever it is, we all have that responsibility to ourselves and then to those that are around us and see us to provide the example to them that this should be a normal part of their life too. Right. So, so I'm not really here for a lot of like talk from clients about wanting to create these figures that they're looking at on Instagram. Cause I'm going to say, you know what? Well, I see a trainer right there who is one of those Instagram trainers, you know, but I'm helping real people
with real bodies
who want to look like real people,
right,
to get comfortable in themselves and be active,
right,
you know, and just move and just be active like every day. That's what I'm holding the standard to. That's what I'm holding people accountable for, is moving every single day.
Right. And that was something you had said a long time ago, and it never occurred to me that it was just the way that you said it, because I do think that there is this idea that when we apply fitness to just working out, what we're basically doing is saying, well, as long as you're working out this many times a week, and you're like, no, it's about being active every day. So for you, what does active every day look like in terms of like how much time? What does it have to be? What counts? What doesn't?
Well, it's just kind of a benchmark, say 30 minutes of activity.
Right. Okay.
And for me, of course, that's unfair because I'm teaching and I'm moving.
Right.
But my recommendation, and what I tell everyone, is that 30 minutes does not have to be a total 30-minute workout at one particular time.
Right.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It can be spread out throughout the day. And I love giving the example of doing a Tabata, which you've done with me in classes before, which is a 4-minute workout of high intensity, or you're doing this to your highest level of intensity, whatever that is for you, of simple body weight exercises. You can do a Tabata of jumping jacks or squats or sit-ups or, you know, lunges per se. Do it for 20 seconds, rest for 10, 20 seconds, rest for 10. And then you do that 8 rounds and you've done 4 minutes. If you're doing that at a high enough level of intensity, you're going to sweat. You're getting your heart rate up. We want to be increasing our cardiovascular capacity, tapping into that every single day, right? We want to be working our largest muscles of the body. Get up, stand up, get off of your butt. It's going to sleep as much sitting as we're doing. So, you know, work those large muscles, get that heart pumping, go for a brisk walk. That's something that's pretty accessible to most people, is walking. And it's one of the best exercises that you can do.
Right.
So you say the benchmark is like 30 minutes of activity, and you can break it up throughout your day. And that can be as simple as, you know, if we're going to the grocery store, park further away from the front door. Those simple things that we've all heard, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, haha, yeah, do it. Really do it.
No, it's true.
You know? Park around the corner from your house. You know, if you are in a neighborhood and you don't have to pull into the garage, whatever the case, find ways within your environment to take those extra steps, literally take those extra steps, because that's going to lead to extra steps in your life.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. And I think that the idea of 30 minutes a day and moving every day, because I do really believe that for a lot of us, we've been conditioned to believe that it's a workout. You work out 3 to 4 days a week or whatever, and that's what you have to do. So if you're not doing that, then you're not doing anything.
Right. And you had mentioned that, you know, this pandemic has caused a lot of us to just stop because we're not able to go to our normal places where we would engage in our activity. We're not going to the gym. We're not going to the fitness studios, right? And so we're at home and we're kind of like, you know what I did? I had all these dumbbells from my classes, right? And so I just started loaning them out to people. So that I did, because they were, you know, once we really saw we're not going back in the studio for a minute.
Right.
I started loaning the dumbbells out to my clients that they have those resist, and then they were hard to find. You couldn't even find any dumbbells on Amazon.
That's what I heard. Roland said that there actually is a shortage, or that
there was a shortage. Yes, it was intense for a minute. So folks who even did want to get you know, workouts at home with, you know, new equipment, they couldn't find it. So I had exercise tubes and jump ropes and equipment, and then I brought it to my home too, and so I was able to use it and demonstrate with it. And you just have to, you know, get comfortable. For me, I had to just get comfortable literally with like folks see in my living room because, and that was,
yeah, it's a bit weird, right?
The first couple of days of my Zoom classes, I did them in the gym of the apartment building where I lived. And then they put a lock on that door. And I ran back upstairs. I was like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to teach my class. What am I going to do? In the living room, like, and it's like, duh, right here. It's happening right here.
Right.
So and then we got used to seeing people's living rooms, right? Like everybody, like it's not a big deal. All the news broadcasts are happening from somebody's living room these days.
Right. I mean, I think the beauty of this time is that it does force us to reset. It does give us a way to engage. How do you suggest people, especially with all of the kids that have to be home? I have 10 pumpkins and 6 of them come from one family. So I'd be like, listen, if you all ever need to come over here to spread out, feel free. But how do you suggest parents, guardians, caretakers incorporate this active space into children's lives? Because I think that would also be helpful when we talk about passing down, that legacy of fitness being part of your daily life.
I'm going to throw out the resource, if you don't mind.
I'm typing. Go for it.
Box, BOKS, KIDS, BoxKids.org.
BOKSKIDS.
Yes.
.org. Okay.
Is a website to the free physical activity resources that parents can do, because it's also a program that is no longer school-based, right? It's now adjusted their curriculum, and they do Facebook Lives every day where a family is, facilitating or hosting a live workout and the kids are involved. This is for elementary, middle school students specifically, and I think that they're probably even expanding to high school.
Okay.
And these are basic movements that you don't need any equipment for, or if you are grabbing something, it's already, in existence in your home.
Right.
And they're fun games. And so I recommend parents look for resources like Box online, and there's tons of them these days, even more so than there were before, because so many programs that were based in the schools are now being utilized by parents at home. And it's important, if the kids don't have recess, they're not at school, they're not transitioning between classes, or they don't have PE, or I guess maybe they do. Some schools I know they do have PE even.
Yeah, I've seen them do like virtual.
They're doing it virtually. But that recess time, that play time, that time that we had on the playground is with our friends, where we just ran around and it was unstructured playtime, is not available to kids in the school environment these days. So parents have so much on their plate. I mean, they're trying to work and they're trying to facilitate helping their children to Zoom into classes, to stay on schedule, and everybody share the computers and all that. But the kids are still kids, and they still need to play and laugh and jump and run around. And they're not like adults where they can sit for, a longer duration of time and stay focused. It's important to have.
There's a lot of adults that can't. There's a lot of adults that need playtime.
I can't. If I sit down long enough, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, I need playtime. Playtime is important.
It's so important for everybody. Yeah. And so if the parents get involved, then they'll be benefiting, they'll be moving, and they'll be sweating. And then again, they're modeling, right? They're, showing that that's something that is important enough that they stop what everybody's doing and we get up and we do these activities, and it's fun. So Box is one of the resources I strongly recommend.
Okay. So I already posted that in the comments. What about older folks, like our parents, our elders who might, because now they can't go to church. They can't go, like my dad, I love him. He's retired now. I'll call and check on him. Like, Dad, what are you doing? I went for my walk. So he's out doing his 2-3 mile walk. And it's like, bet, this is dope. I'm actually thinking about gifting him. hopefully he's not watching this, but I'm thinking about getting him a smartwatch so that he can keep track of his workouts.
That would be dope.
Yeah, because I do think that it's good that he's always been fitness orientated. He's never really shared it with us, but that's kind of been his thing. But how do you suggest we sort of incorporate that for older, more, adults who might be a little bit more sedentary that maybe live with us? Because we do know that there are people that are in nursing homes and there's a lot of things where we can't do right now because of COVID. But if you're trying to inspire your mom who lives in another state and you're FaceTiming her, like, what are some ways that we can think about getting them moving as well?
I really think that we need to, look at where they are, and a lot of our elders are maybe not as mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're seated, then there are so many stretches that they need to do and that they can do just sitting in their favorite chair at home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I actually work with a client. I work with one of my clients' moms who is in her 70s. And what a lot of the activities that I do with her are deep breathing. Okay, I'm going to take you through.
Okay.
Right. If we're sitting up, I always have her to bring her back away from the seat.
Yep.
So sitting up nice and tall and to plant her feet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then to bring her hands to the top of her knees.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so from that position, then I'm going to have her to, we'll take a deep breath together and bring our arms all the way overhead. So you really have to be intentional about this breath coming all the way to the bottom of your lungs here. And I want you to just imagine a lot of energy just shooting out of your fingertips, and that you're stretching from your armpits all the way up to your fingertips. And you're just extending those elbows all the way up. And then you're going to slowly exhale and bring those arms back down for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the hands can come back down to your side or on your knees. So just that practice of having that person to sit up nice and tall, to expand their diaphragm, to help them to get their breath deeper into their lungs than they would if they were slouched or kind of just like sitting like this back in that chair, is a great practice. That's an exercise for the lungs. That's an exercise for the shoulders, for the arms. And then just do some simple twist. Mm-hmm. So sitting in your chair in the same position here, if you were to bring your hands to the outside of your thigh, whatever direction, I have my right hand in front here across my left knee. And then I'm going to turn and look over my left shoulder. And using my right hand, I'm pressing it into the side of my leg, which helps to assist this stretch as I look over my shoulder. Exhaling as you twist, and then come back to center. The goal really, I would recommend for anyone, if they're helping someone who's not getting up and moving around as much, is to focus on the breath. Mm-hmm. It is what we take for granted, right? That we're taking these breaths in and out, but it is the key for our life. And when we focus, and when we, more importantly, circulate that stale air from the bottom of our lungs all the way up and out, it just brings about so much more energy, and we, feel that oxygen just circulate, and it clears the mind too. You so many deep breaths, you start to feel a little lightheaded. So that's important. The stretching, the seated exercises. I know I keep saying generally, just like Google or YouTube, but there are so many. Even this melt method, there's some great, that I mentioned earlier, has some great videos on YouTube of seated stretching. That's really powerful.
Right.
So seated or chair massage is another thing that people can look up. Yeah. So you just work with people where they are. I mean, everybody is able, to do something, in the way of helping to increase their flexibility, helping to increase the, extending their muscles, contracting their muscles. And even if it's a very limited range of motion, given what that person's ability is. Right. If it's just deep breaths, that's helpful.
Okay. People are funny. Dana says, I heard some cracks on my turn.
Well, there you go. Then you probably
You needed that. You needed that. That was a good
You're
pop.
welcome.
That was a good pop.
Do the other side now. That's
Right.
like even it out.
So let me, before I let you go, because I know we're running out of time. And this is partly in jest, but partly like dead serious. I would love suggestions for the knees, because sometimes my knees work, and then sometimes they're like, "Hey, we're taking a break," and I'm like, I wasn't ready for that. And so, you know,
taking a break. What do you mean?
I went on a walk. Like, it was really weird. I went on a walk. I've been trying to do these 3-mile walks. Like, that's my thing now. Like, just going on a walk. And I really want to get back into running, but it'd be cold outside, and I don't be feeling like putting on all the clothes. And so, I'm trying to motivate
right now either.
Right. I'm trying to motivate myself to be like, you got to get back out there. So I'm like, at least walking. And so Elise Perry and I, shout out to Elise Perry, went on a walk. And at one point I was walking and I felt like my knee had decided to like have a coffee break. It just felt like it was this weird thing. Like, my knee was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down now. Like, but I'm still walking. What are you doing? No, I need you to, like, what's happening? And it felt like it was weird. This weird sensation that it had like sort of removed itself from my leg. It was the weirdest thing.
So,
and I was,
I've worked with you, so I know there's been, some knee things. But I'm gonna ask you, what stretching did you do before you went out on that walk?
When you say stretching,
right? Like stretching, whether
because it was a walk, I needed to stretch.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Obviously. Stretching is something that we should do every day.
Right.
Every day. Because like our muscular strength, our flexibility will go if we don't use it, right? Our range of motion will tighten up. Our tendons and our ligaments will get stiff and tight if we don't use it. And so, yes, something as simple as walking, which we do all day anyway, or, we think, I could just go out and push 3 miles. If you're walking out the door and you haven't necessarily prepared, you don't do 3 miles, you're not walking that distance all day. That's not something your body is used to. So you need to warm up before doing that. Absolutely. And so that would be my recommendation.
Steps. That didn't count.
Well, I mean, that's a good way to warm up if you did it for a sustained period of time. If you just going upstairs and then you stay upstairs, well, then, that doesn't really count. No.
Point taken. Okay.
But maybe go up and down 20 times, and then we'll call that a warm up.
Okay. So I need to warm up before I go for my walks.
You need to stretch. Yes, you need to do some stretching before going out. And then let's all just try to take away from this conversation, if nothing else, that we need to stretch for 10 minutes a day.
Okay.
Because that's the precursor to all this other activity that we've been talking about, right? Is really just stretching. I don't want we do a mobility circuit at the beginning of every single one of my classes. And I tell people, don't go all out on these activities. This is not where we're going fast. In the part of, we have that coming up later on, the jumping and all that. Believe me, I got you on that. But let's take this time to go as slow as we need to and go through these moves, for this 3 times for you to increase the range of motion and properly prepare your body for this activity. And it's probably even more so important now when we are less active than it was before. So yes, you have to stretch. Let's just call this, you gotta stretch.
You gotta stretch.
Podcast today.
All right. AKA you gotta stretch.
But I do want to just again invite everyone here to the 30-day Get Active program, because this is about getting you active. This is about the support, the community, and this is about you being able to take this after the 30 days and make this a part of your lifestyle, and to just start to feel better, live better, and you're going to look better as a byproduct of your activity.
Right. And I sent everyone to lotusfitness.com. That's where they should go to find out about the 30-day, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was so good talking to you.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much for being our very first one. And I do love that, you ask folks to come in early so we can talk it through. I appreciate you for coming in early. You've set the tone. So moving forward, hopefully everyone else will follow lead. I really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the advice you've given. I've never heard of the melt method. I'm going to go look it up because that might be something I can offer to folks. For those of you who are joining us, if you go into the comments, I put the links to. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Godfrey. I really appreciate you all checking in. Go and look in the comment section. I've given you lotusfitness.com. I've also given you the boxkid.org and the melt method. So you can check those out. Ewunike, this was fantastic. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, sis.
And that is all we have for today. Next week, I'm super excited because we're keeping in the wellness and culture space. Next week, our guest will be Rachel Voss of Rachel Voss Yoga. So make sure you join. Now that I realize that I should probably be asking you fitness people to do demos, but I'm like, I don't want to stress y'all. I just want to talk to y'all. So we'll see what happens. Maybe she'll give us a little thing that we can try to do. But this has been fantastic. I appreciate you and I appreciate everyone that tuned in. So we are out. Because this culture ain't gonna make itself. We'll see you next week at 10 a.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in.
Stay safe. Okay.